Toddlerhood. The star of your life has reached this much publicized phase. You have probably felt trepidation at times, having dramatically been informed of the terrible twos and the even worse threes, and yet you continue to delight in the cute antics and unabashed joie de vivre of your growing child. The following modules will be hosted by Sister Lillian, who will guide you and your toddler through the parent childhood. Difficult, but wonderful experiences.
Toddlerhood is a lot easier on parents in many ways because you know your child and its likes and dislikes. But it's also a lot more challenging because the child starts developing an own will, independence, and at the same time still demands security from you.
Perspectives and milestones. The toddler and preschool years are of the utmost importance in the creation of well-adjusted but free-thinking adults. Parenting requires skills that can only be learned by example and supported by instinct, which is trusted far too seldom. It certainly is a complex task, but a very fulfilling and rewarding one, even if the fruits of your efforts are only apparent much later.
The people think the past is the past and it's over, but that's not true. The past affects the present, and the past definitely affects the future. And the toddler years are perhaps the most important in terms of future development. Things like basic trust, how to form and maintain a relationship, and indeed the importance of relationship, all happen during the toddler years, starting from birth virtually till about 4, very, very important years in that regard. Also things like learning about right and wrong and the development of a conscience and guilt, which helps people control their behavior, happens during the toddler years, particularly in the age group of 3 to 6.
My recipe for success with toddlers is that super efficiency is out and learning to relax and enjoy the phase is in. Raising toddlers on a very tight schedule backfires both on parents and children.
Perfection is not what is required of parents, just as striving to create a happy home. Milestones are simply guidelines to give professionals and parents an idea of the normality of a child's physical and mental development, and as an early indication of potential problems. Evaluating milestones should always be done in perspective. More important is dedicated active stimulation of a child and constant encouragement.
I'm quite happy with her. She's quite a good 2-year-old. I don't have many complaints with her, except she has the occasional typical twos temper tantrums, but otherwise she's a placid, happy little girl.
This is a lovely age. She's so much more relaxed. She talks to me. She can react with me. She can react with her brothers and so forth. She's a lovely child to have around the place.
The most exciting part for me was actually when she was born, mainly because the doctor was so good with letting me assist and cut the cord, and I'd recommend that for any father. But as they grow older too, there's so many, the day they learn to walk, their first words, all those little things all add up to being the joy of being a dad.
It's acceptable for children to actually reach these milestones a little earlier or a little later. Sitting is around about 5 or 6 months, and sort of soon after that they start crawling, and they will pull themselves up against the furniture just standing and then cruise around the furniture before they actually can let go and look. Once they're up on their feet and they can let go, so from about 14 or 15 months onwards, they will start up at about 2.5. They can jump with both feet off the ground. They might momentarily start balancing on one leg and 3 onwards, skipping at about 4, catching the ball. All with variations in quality of movement. The important thing to realize is that communication starts from birth, and it involves the child interacting on an everyday basis with his environment and with people in his environment. So there are no absolute stages, and really there's a guideline. Universal patterns of language acquisitions show that language learning, speech learning is sequential and happens in birth stages. So the child has to acquire language, which is the code that he has to learn to understand his world and to express his needs and his wants. and then it has to acquire a pattern of sound and symbols, which is the speech, to articulate sounds. In the first year of life, the child will experiment with babbling, and he will attend to others in his environment and take in a lot like a sponge almost before he's able to express and get out. Then in the second year of life, a lot of language learning is taken up by learning words, labeling actions, labeling events, labeling things in his environment, starting off with single utterances and then building to combine words into small phrases and then longer sentences.
It's important to remember that there's a wide variability in development, and especially little black children are inclined to sit and walk earlier than other children, and therefore their milestones may appear sooner. This doesn't mean that the other groups have a problem when their milestones appear much later.
As a family practitioner, we get to see young toddlers in our practice every single day. It's very important from our point of view that parents understand that this is a time where the children are going to give you probably most of your trouble. In particular, you're going to be seeing a stage where children from being little babies lying on cots are going to become much more mobile and become a risk and a danger to themselves. We see little ones from the age of 12 months, 13 months starting to explore the environment. They express their natural curiosity. They're going to be digging in every single door in your house, climbing up and down every single stair, and exploring swimming pools around.
A whole life lies ahead of your staff. Remember to take heredity and individual characteristics into account. And you cannot expect your child to go through the whole of life without any rules. But remember, they shape character and your child's future. I think what is important for the parents is that they must play a guardian angel role, helping the child to make the best of their given potential.
One of the main concerns of parents is a toddler's diet. If you are what you eat, then many a toddler should fade into nothingness. The seemingly minute portions and the fussy eating habits of many toddlers certainly give this impression. Occasionally, nutritional problems are a relevant factor and treatment becomes necessary. However, parents shouldn't forget that we are generally overfed in the Western world, and an overemphasis and anxiety surrounding food is typical of our society.
For me, an important criterion is whether the child is alert, happy and thriving. If it is, then it is usually eating according to the body's needs. A child will only voluntarily starve itself in the case of extreme illness.
I tend to find that it's quite easy to get my children to eat raw vegetables and fruit and things like that. The eating problems with my little girl at 4.5, she obviously takes off to eat. She never stops chomping. You can see by the size of the body. But my little boy, he will eat nothing. We've got to bribe and beg, and we've just got to the stage now where we've put the food in front of him, we've given him a lot of choices. If he eats it, he eats it. If he doesn't, well, he can't go. The whole family gets into an absolute stupor.
Justin has not been the best of eaters. He'll eat certain things, and vegetables are an absolute no-no.
The problem with what we've had is at different times with each of them, just getting them to eat. And you get quite frantic sometimes about them not eating. And it seems to last for a couple of weeks or so, and then the other one eats, and it just goes back to square one again.
I just think, well, the more colourful the diet, the richer it is in vitamins and minerals. So if your toddler is eating half an apple a day and they're eating something red, half a tomato, then they'll probably, I'll take them enough vitamins and minerals. The classic example is my child only eats all grain flakes for breakfast, for lunch and for supper. I think what we've got to remember is a lot of these foods are fortified. They've got iron in them, they've got vitamins in them, they're drinking them with milk. So it's actually providing a lot more than we realize.
Toddlers' growth is very important to parents, but it's important to remember that children have very strange eating patterns. As long as a child is presented with a wide variety of foods over time, he will get all the nutrients he desires. Even though he ends up eating bananas for a whole week, he probably will not be malnourished. Children who do get malnourished are those children who are fed exclusively on maize products with little milk and no other sources of vitamins or proteins. And the signs to really be concerned about is if your child starts swelling up, especially the legs and the eyes, if you have skin lesions who won't get any better, if a child has constant diarrhea and is not growing, and just children who are generally irritable.
Nature has provided us with a handy color-coded index to healthy eating. Make sure your child eats something from each color group: the greens, the orangey yellows, the white beige foods. Protein is very important, but is often believed to only be abundant enough in red meat. But chicken, fish, and eggs are also rich in protein. Dairy is another good source, and potatoes contribute a fair protein supply too. One shouldn't forget the whole grains, a particularly valuable protein supply, and this knowledge will comfort many a worried mother of strictly bread eaters. Vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates, fats and water complete our children's essential dietary intake. Evaluate a child's food consumption over a period of a week, not strictly on a daily basis, as this can be misleading.
Mothers who maintain that their children eat nothing are frequently astounded at how the mouthfuls actually add up. The only thing you shouldn't be doing is giving sweet treats and crisps just to fill your child's tummy.
A toddler's palate often seems bland and monotonous to adults, but if they are thriving on their diet and resisting new flavors, back off and try at a later stage. Other toddlers are surprisingly adventurous, happy to chew on raw green pepper or feast on avocado on baked potato. Individuality is as much their birthright as it is with adults. Toddlers usually feed on smaller meals frequently. This is not spoilt or naughty behavior, but a natural response to their body rhythms. There is no time you'll feel closer to your baby than during those precious moments of breastfeeding. However, if you cannot breastfeed for one reason or another, you can bottle feed without feeling guilty, as bottle feeding is the best alternative to breastfeeding. Of course, not all toddlers readily give up the breast or bottle. Sucking as a reflex is taken to be normal until 1 year.
There are many children with special nutritional needs, such as children with allergies, children with diabetes or other inflammatory disorders. These children require diets high in energy and in nutritional value. And if you have a child with one of these conditions, it is prudent to discuss these intakes and diets with the dietitian or a professional that will give you specific advice.
A moderate and common sense approach to nutrition in toddlers is very important. Tension around mealtimes never works. Rather teach your child gratitude for the food that it's getting, and remember that the enjoyment of mealtimes is very important.
Dealing with emotional demands. How difficult it is to read the correct meaning into the many facial expressions, cries, gurgles, developing speech and body language in our growing children. It is almost as if their yet immature ability to verbalize their feelings makes us think that they don't really have emotions, or that they are not yet ready to be taken seriously.
I often find that in our materialistic and demanding society, emotions of small children are taken to be just irrational nuisances. It's as if we want them to be big sooner than they're ready, believing that that will make them more independent and able to cope with the big wide world. In fact, I really find that the opposite is true. Children with emotional needs are unfailingly heeded, invariably grow up to become far more independent people.
Setting an example of caring and consideration will reap long-term positive effects in your child's, your own and other people's lives. So many parents feel themselves to be between the devil and the deep blue sea when it comes to having practical knowledge about the possibility of spoiling young children with attention. The cliche, "you cannot spoil your child with love," is freely bandied about. But what does this actually mean?
One of the most difficult things for parents is to get the right balance between responding to a child's real valid emotional needs and recognizing when, in their opinion, it's unreasonable demands. There is no recipe really. I think that parents need to trust their gut more. They rely too much on expert opinion or perhaps on textbooks. Look into yourself and you'll be able to tell quite a lot when the child is in real distress, when your child is hungry, when your child needs recognition, when your child needs attention, when your child needs to be changed, and when the child is perhaps going over the top and being manipulative.
And twins are double the work. And emotionally, they play on me, they demand of me, they make me feel guilty when I'm away, or if I go to work and I come home, they play me up.
The emotional demands, personally, I don't find them too great. I'm always ready for them. It's the physical demands more than the emotional demands.
coming home after work that really uses stress, especially the baby starts crying. He wants to know what you brought him from work. There are special things that you take one to do today, and you insist on wanting it now that you come from work and you're so tired. You started to want to cook or see to other things, and you insist you want you to sit with him all the time.
Children are incredibly emotionally demanding because they don't stop for one moment. They really don't, not for a minute. They keep demanding your time, your energy, and they don't stop when you're ill, they don't stop when you're on the phone, they just don't stop. But while they are demanding, they're still tremendously rewarding.
It is important to interpret and guide a child's expressions and demands. With patience and practice, parents can learn to turn emotional demands and boredom into an exercise of constructive, creative stimulation. A plethora of educational toys are often presented to children way before their first birthdays. Intentions might be good, but we need to examine the relative worth of this practice. Children often lose interest, reverting to sand and water games instead.
The main activity of childhood is play. So as it would be maybe for an adult in terms of working life, for a child it's play. And you would be surprised at how many children will come into an area like this and struggle. Because they have motor problems, they might have perceptual problems, they might have difficulty conceptualizing what one can do with this equipment. And if they can conceptualize what to do with it, they don't quite know how to make their bodies do it. And they become, we talk a lot about an avoidance response. If you don't achieve success in what you do, you start avoiding it. You will not go on and on and on and on, although children are more tenacious than adults. But they develop an avoidance response, and they avoid doing what is natural and what is needed for children of their age.
I remember attending a lecture a long time ago, and one woman was an art teacher. She said, I would never show my children how to sketch a cat. Whatever they did, it was fine with me. And I found those children never progressed in art. When you learn to write an essay, we give you the tools, the letters, how to form them, and eventually you do creative work. I think with art it's exactly the same. You have to learn how to draw, how to express yourself. Structured work is outstanding. Not forcing a child to do what you want them to do, but leading up to the point where they will discover for themselves. Many children never discover it, so in fact you have to tell them.
But in the early days when television just arrived on the scene, many parents were also intrigued as the children were, and they did leave them for many, many hours. But eventually the teachers called them in and said, this is wrong, your child's posture isn't correct, concentration is weak, perhaps your child is tired. And in fact, many of the blame was laid on the long hours sitting in a stationary position in front of the screen.
Although the debate surrounding television viewing will rage on, it can play a useful role in entertaining and educating your child, although the physical effects speak for themselves. Studies done among South African adolescents have attributed weekends to extensive television viewing. Our children are spending a lot less time outdoors enjoying healthy physical exercise compared to previous generations. The demise of the extended family has encouraged harassed parents to use the television set as a babysitter.
A child lives in a very rich fantasy world, especially a child under 7, and that's absolutely appropriate and should be encouraged. A child's expression and the way a child learns is by means of play. You don't need sophisticated toys. All you need is to get down on your hands and knees and be a little dog, or be a big elephant, or be a tiny mouse. Stimulate the child's fantasies. Don't squash the child and teach them about all the things that they're going to have to learn when they're adults. TV is an excellent medium, even for little children, except I think that it's very important for parents to be extremely selective in the kind of television that their children watch.
I think parents actually want to discover the workings of things for themselves. Making a character or creating your own set of building blocks actually stimulates far more faculties than simply buying them. It is certainly a more chaotic phase from the parent's point of view, but it is so important for the emotional and physical development of your child, and lends a special touch to creativity. Encourage your child to examine life within the bounds of safety, of course. In my opinion, this is one of the most important prerequisites for healthy emotional development and creative stimulation.
Childcare for the working mom. Mothers working away from the home is a common phenomenon of modern Western life. Economic realities demand this of many families, and women often too choose this option to fulfill their personal career ambitions.
The ever-increasing shift to home-based and informal industry does mean, though, that your child's needs can be more suitably accommodated. However, for those moms who must go out to work, there are a number of childcare options that you can consider.
Option 1. Nannies. Many mothers rely on the service of nannies while away at work. Fortunately, many are wonderful women who seem to have a natural aptitude for mothering and genuinely enjoy their work. This option has the distinct advantage of personal contact and one-to-one care, which is extremely important during the preschool years. Emotional care is paramount, and if you have a good nanny, you can rest assured that this facet of your child's life is receiving attention. Tolerance and understanding of other cultures and languages can also be fostered in this manner. It is unrealistic to expect a nanny to be both a perfect childminder and a housekeeper come cook at the same time. Your child's well-being is paramount, and it is worth having a child to help with household duties. It is essential that your nanny undergoes first aid training. Nutritional needs of well and ill toddlers must also be understood together with the ability to summon help telephonically. Emergency telephone numbers should be displayed clearly at the telephone, and make sure you can be contacted at any time. Home security is an important aspect to consider, especially when your home is manned by only a nanny. Option 2. Day mothers. Many women choose the day mothers option as children are looked after in a home environment alongside relatively few other children. A maximum of 8 children between birth and 3 years may be catered for. The Day Mothers Association regulates standards, but not all day mothers are registered. Members have to provide gate security, enter into a contract with parents, provide names and telephone numbers of doctors and other contact people, plus furnish any medical information vital to your child's well-being. Day mother services usually operate from 6:30 in the morning until 7:15 in the evenings, but discontinue during holiday periods. Home cooked meals are usually provided, but this should be checked out when you interview a prospective day mother. Option 3. Creches. Creches provide childminding facilities for children from birth to 3 years and are often part of nursery schools which provide a service up to and including the preschool year, grade 0. Institutions with more than 20 children must register with the relevant provincial education department. Staff are trained kindergarten teachers, and the school often employs a qualified nurse or someone with certified first aid knowledge.
The most important thing, particularly between the ages of 18 months and 3 years, is that the child gets a consistent caretaker who they begin to form a relationship with, who they begin to trust, and who they recognize as a primary caretaker. Most often, of course, it is the mother, but sometimes there are circumstances that take the mother out of home. In this day and age, many mothers work, and it's important when the mother comes home from work to spend some consistent both quantity and quality time with the mother. There are significant emotional problems that arise when a child is handed from one caretaker to another. They experience extreme separation anxiety sometimes, and also there are often deficits later on in life with the development of long-term meaningful relationships.
The activities, the program, all the different things that we do at nursery school are so important for the child's development. And so it really does play a very important role that children come into a school from about 2 years. I say 2 years is enough.
They need the preparation before they hit grade 9. They need to have an overall developmental program that we plan for them so that they can mature and grow and learn to listen. That's one of the most important parts that we find that children identify with.
These schools generally request that parents send along a healthy tea time snack. If aftercare is also provided, a midday meal is included and children are encouraged to take an afternoon sleep. The hours are usually from 7:30 in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but aftercare can continue until 6 o'clock in the evening. Creches tend to offer an all-year-round service, apart from the festive season, whereas nursery schools follow the school calendar.
It is no easy task choosing substitute childcare for those early years. Remember that you are paying for the service, and it's a very critical phase. You have every right to lobby for the best possible service. One good way is to pop into these facilities at unexpected moments so that you can check out what's happening there. Discuss any problems with your child's caregiver as soon as possible to avoid them becoming big problems. Chopping and changing from one substitute care to another is not a good idea generally. I advise that you stay with your child on the first few occasions, gradually withdrawing as your child gets used to the new environment.
Teething and dental care.